Hello students, we're still on genetics and evolution. So far we've talked about heredity, and heredity tends to explain why we look like our parents but not exactly like one of them. The reason is because we inherit genes that give us our traits or characteristics. We've also looked at species and selective breeding. Species is just a small group of organisms that are closely related and can interbreed to produce fertile offsprings. Okay, now there are certain features in the species that we may want. So we're going to select only species with that features and then breed them until we get a generation where they all show the features that we want. That is selective breeding. And then lastly, we talked about variation. Variation is just differences in between organisms in the same species. Today we're going to talk about evolution. Now, what is evolution? It is the process by which kinds of living organisms are believed to have developed from earlier forms during the history of the earth. Okay. Now, it is believed the human developed from the chimpanzee. Okay. It is believed the human developed from the chimpanzee millions of years ago. Okay. Now, the theory accepted by most scientists is the theory of natural selection proposed by Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is a scientist. Okay. He was a scientist, and then he proposed the theory of natural selection. Now, what is natural selection? It is a process whereby organisms better adapted to their environment tend to survive and produce more offsprings. Okay. Now, when you go to the desert, you're going to see the cactus plant in abundance over there. Now, the reason why the cactus is present over there is because it is better adapted on the desert. When you go to the Arctic, you're going to see the polar bear. Now, the reason why the polar bear is found over there is because the polar bear is well adapted to that environment. So that is what natural selection is trying to tell us. Organisms that are well adapted to the environment tend to survive and produce more offsprings.